Okay, I'm going to make an effort to speak a little bit louder and a bit more clearly. Not to emphasize the subject or anything like that, but just to make it easier if anybody wants to listen. That's all I'm thinking. I'm chopping some vegetables at the moment because I had some people came to my house last night for a meal, and I did a lot of fresh vegetables, but a lot of them are left over. So I'm going to have them now for my lunch with some cold cuts. I also got a lot of cold cuts, and they didn't seem to go down all that well among my guests. And I started to think that probably cold cuts are more, they're popular in Italy, but or maybe for English people they take a bit of getting used to. I know when we took my auntie in the early days when I went to Italy, we brought my auntie a salami as a present from Italy, and my auntie that used to live near here, who's now passed on to be with the Lord, I hope. I think she was a lovely person. I'm sure she'd be in a nice place. And she boiled the salami. And we always thought that was funny when I found out about it. Probably hadn't told her, we just assumed that people would know. I think things are different now. I mean, one of my guests has travelled frequently to Italy, and I think he was eating. But my other two guests were more sort of maybe more Birmingham people that didn't quite. Well, one of them anyway is a vegan, so that can't be expected to eat cold pork. So, you see, the argument that I would like to make, and it's a very simple one, I think. I don't think it matters what sort of a person you are at all. I think you can do and be precisely what you want. Okay? So, whatever that is, whatever your proclivity, or your nature, or your preferences, okay, you can be a hard drinker, you can be a fornicator, you can be a drug addict, you can be a sexual deviant of any type, or you can be a normal person, and it just doesn't really matter. And I know I said normal and deviant, but I mean, we have to use those words so that people can understand what is being talked about. I'm not implying any prejudice. People are entitled to be as they are. We all understand that now. I think that's pretty widely recognized. Leave them alone. Let everybody do what they prefer. Okay, that's all. So then people say, well, why is religion coming into it? Well, it isn't. I'm not bringing it into it, but I will make this strong argument. People should read the Bible. That's all I'm saying. Then, you might read it and think, well, that's just a load of nonsense. Doesn't matter. But from an intellectual and philosophical standpoint, if you are a resident, shall we say, in, the developed world, or, unless you're living on a rock in the middle of somewhere, of the ocean somewhere, I don't know. But if you're part of particularly of, European and American and Australian cultures and, over the world, really, doesn't matter where you are. There's really no excuse for not having read the Bible, especially if you've got some kind of pretense at being, a clever person. Because the Bible has influenced the world far more than any single other book. Its name means the book. And I believe that in English it is absolutely unequaled. And of course, when I say the Bible, I do mean the authorized version. I don't mean, I'm sure that anybody listening to this would not wish to read a cheap copy. Or its equivalent in your local language if you don't read it in English. There's an equivalent everywhere in the world. Be assured of it. Be assured. But I'm not making a religious or argument related to how we should conduct ourselves. It's none of my business. People should do exactly what they want. But you see, it doesn't really make sense that so few people do actually read the Bible. Just from an intellectual standpoint, why would you not read such an important reference? That's all I'm saying. Some people might read it and just say, well, so what? But you read it. It would just make sense. I think it would be hard to remain indifferent having read it. And of course, we assume that we know what it says. I think a lot of people, they know a few bits and pieces out of it, so they think they know it. But, I'm not being pedantic here. It's not true. The Bible it's a very long book. And, you could say at times it might be a bit tedious to get through. But I think it's a commitment that we owe ourselves as just as a nation, as culture, to understand the progression of the ages. You remember a few generations ago, it would have been far more widely read. Now, that didn't produce any kind of enlightenment, did it? And I have to agree with you, but I believe that it didn't produce any enlightenment because the Bible has never been understood in the terms that I am presenting now, because I believe the Bible, and I also believe my earlier statement that it doesn't matter what you do. Okay? This isn't a battle of morality. This is a battle of logic, you see. God bless everybody.